What's poppin', guys? Or as we say in Spanish, ¿Qué está papayando, chicos? It's been a little while since I've uploaded, but hey, I'm here now. A little while back, I asked you guys what Greninja player you'd like to see me analyze next, and the most requested person, of course, was Venia. Sorry to disappoint, but we will not be analyzing 420 man in this video. But anyways, I'm here to deliver. Today, we're going to be talking about what makes Venia such a good player and answer the age-old question, who is the best? Alright, with all that said, let's kick things off. Venia's a Greninja player from New York who's been on the rise for quite a while now. Looking at the New York power rankings, he's been putting in insane amounts of work, managing to be ranked above notable players such as Mystery, Jen, Sinji, Nixie, Stocktaker, Utopian Ray, and Dill. And notice how I said that these were New York rankings. Coming from outside of the state, Venia's also managed to get notable wins on players such as Leon, Goblin, Jackal, Rivers, and even JW. Oh, and by the way, you know Light, Dabuzz, and Tweak? These are literally top 10 players in the world, and Venia's managed to beat them. As a matter of fact, the only player that's ranked above Venia in New York is Dabuzz, but even then, he's got the set count, going 5-3 against him. Yeah, that's pretty wild. If Venia actually traveled and competed in majors, he'd be on the PGR easy. Alright, so what kind of playstyle got him to the top? I don't think it's an understatement at all to say that Venia is single-handedly the most aggressive Greninja player out there. I mean, he literally won't let you breathe. A lot of the other Greninja players that I've seen tend to win one interaction and then reset neutral. This isn't necessarily bad since they're able to play it safe and not get punished on an overextension. But Venia, on the other hand, he'll win one interaction and then go out of his way to push his advantage as much as possible. That being said, Venia uses a lot of strings rather than guaranteed damage, which keeps his playstyle from being too linear and makes his opponents have to stay on their toes. But then again, it can work against him sometimes. He'll win one neutral interaction and set up to take a stock, and the next thing you know...
Okay.
World's best Greninja, everyone. No, I'm just kidding. I love you, Venia. He really does like fishing for those specific options, though, and sometimes he gets next to no mileage off of winning an interaction. It's definitely a balance more than anything, but it tends to work out for him more often than not. Time to go over his strengths. Bear with me because, as you can imagine, there's a lot to cover here. The biggest thing that Venia is known for is his movement, and let me just say, holy crap, this guy knows what he's doing. Unlike a lot of other Greninja players, Venia doesn't rely on the shield button at all. Just for comparison, look at how Schroeder is playing neutral here. He literally can't go 2 seconds without pressing R on his GameCube controller. And I know I've used this clip a million times before, but look at how crisp Venia's movement is against Fox, a character who's considered to have good enough movement attributes to keep up with Greninja. And what do you know? Not a single press of the shield button. I'm sure that you all know that I'm the spreadsheet and data type of guy, so look at this diagram here. This perfectly illustrates how often Venia uses his shield button in an actual match compared to other top players. And honestly, if other Greninja players started doing this, let's just say that we wouldn't be ranked at the top of high tier anymore. But in all seriousness, Venia knows exactly how far his opponent's options can reach, and he'll constantly dance around them looking for openings. This makes his playstyle look incredibly fast and makes him what I believe to be the most entertaining Greninja player to watch. And it's not just neutral interactions either. Like, look at this shit here. He gets put into disadvantage, double jump B reverses the shuriken to stall himself in the air and adjust his positioning, then Hydro Pumps diagonally as Mystery goes for a Dancing Blade where he thinks Venia is going to land. After this, he Hydro Pumps into that Dancing Blade, making Mystery think that he actually landed behind him so that he doesn't commit to the full move. Then Mystery thinks that Venia actually landed in front of him, so he goes for a quick punish, and Venia is able to roll behind him and punish him since he canceled Hydro Pumps and lag with the 4% that he took from the first hit of Lucina's side B. Holy shit, Venia's insane. I have so many clips of Venia just doing incredibly crafty things with his movement, so screw it, let's analyze some of these. In this clip, Venia sets up for an edge guard with back air against Ray, but Ray manages to air dodge out in time. From this position here, it looks like Greninja is way too far to make anything out of this situation. But Venia knows exactly how fast Greninja's fall speed is, so he fast stalls in order to catch Ray with a second back air for a stock. Now, we didn't exactly get to see this happen, but Venia was prepared in case that back air whiffed. Venia already burned his double jump, so from the position that he input the back air in after fast falling, he would have lost a stock. But wait a minute, how is he making it back to ledge here? Unknown to a lot of players, inputting an arrow actually cancels your fast fall if you don't hold down on your analog stick as you do so. So if Venia misses back air here, he would have been completely fine and could have made it back to ledge. That's such a minute detail, but it's crazy that he knew exactly how that interaction would play out. Alright, let me give you another example of movement combining with psychology. Venia sets up for an edge guard on Dabuz and intentionally makes his way back to ledge. From here, Dabuz tries swinging forward air at Venia in case he tries to do a ledge drop double jump back air, but instead, Venia just jumps off of ledge. This gives Dabuz a false sense of security where he thinks that Venia is just resetting in order to try and get a ledge trap going. But instead, Venia drifts back from the ledge jump, catches Dabuz with down air on what he thought was a safe recovery, and double jump backwards to kill Dabuz after regaining his double jump from grabbing the ledge. Dude, these plays are just too clean. Whether it's faking an offensive option from disadvantage and getting a free landing, or using Hydrant's collision box to give him a boost across the stage, Venia's movement is just on another level. As I've said already, once Venia puts you in disadvantage, he will not let you breathe. But the question is, how does he put all of these high-level players into disadvantage so often? And the answer to that is pressure. As a concept, pressure differs from character to character. I mean, think about it. The way that a Ryu or Ken player pressures you in Shield is completely different compared to how a Belmont player pressures you at ledge. Greninja's pressure is different in the sense that he's not necessarily using moves, but the threat of moves to force the opponent to choose specific options. As an example, dash attack on its own can set up a ton for Greninja, and you'll see a lot of people trying to play around it. The second that Greninja approaches them, they'll put themselves into Shield in order to try not to lose the interaction. But because of Greninja's very slippery movement, they're not only trying to avoid dash attack, but they're trying to beat dash attack. Compared to other characters like Donkey Kong, Mario, and Falco, catching Greninja isn't easy at all. So whenever the opponent sees the chance to land a single hit, you already know that they're going to take that opportunity. This is where Greninja's bait and punish game plan shines. While Greninja does have safe moves on Shield, he particularly lacks pressure on Shield. So the second that the opponent presses the R button on their GameCube controller, Greninja isn't able to just use dash attack and needs to think a lot harder about his options. I've seen even top level Greninjas lose these interactions because they're too linear with their playstyle and they'll eat punishes all day long. Venia, on the other hand, has an incredible understanding as to what options are safe against the opponent's options, and he'll use this concept of predicting what the opponent is predicting in order to shift the game completely into his favor. A lot of what he's doing is pressuring the opponent into swinging a certain way and then capitalizing on it whenever he gets a chance to do so. It also helps that Venia's playstyle really isn't linear at all. Just when the opponent thinks that they figured him out, he'll do something like dash under their aerial and pivot grab, or call them out on a parry attempt with a tomahawk dash attack. He's extremely comfortable with getting his moves out from almost any position, and he'll constantly mix up his timings with full hops, short hops, fast stalls, double jumps, or even shuriken stalls to catch his opponent off guard. By the way, I'm not just referring to his aerials. Venia has some of the craftiest neutral that I've seen out of any player, and he'll go to the extreme to make his options as unpredictable as possible. If there's one move that Venia is known for, it's down air. A lot of players see how safe Greninja's neutral air is on Shield, so they'll often try to parry the move to give themselves a larger punish window to work with. Venia is really good at noticing when his opponents have this in mind, so he'll input a down air right above them to catch them on their shield drop. Even if the opponent stays in Shield, this move is safe, so he'll just go right back to using his movement and reset neutral. It's honestly insane how much momentum he gets off of interactions like this, and I genuinely do think that he has the best down air usage out of any Greninja player. With that said, he does jump the trigger sometimes, and he'll use down air in situations that make you kind of just say, okay. Don't get me wrong, he has a great understanding of the move, so it'll connect a lot of the time, but dude, what are you getting off of down air at 10% against a Lucario? The risk versus reward just isn't there. He really likes this move, and sometimes just inputting it gives his opponent a ton of mileage. But anyways, we've still got a little bit to go before we talk about Venia's weaknesses. Remember how we said that Venia focuses on getting strings rather than guaranteed damage? Something that he'll do incredibly well is use frame traps to download and call out his opponents. Frame traps make it so that regardless of the option that your opponent chooses, you get mileage off of the interaction. But on top of that, you're able to see what option they chose out of disadvantage. Venia uses these interactions to get rewarded for winning neutral as much as possible, while getting the data needed to push his advantage as much as possible. He has some super creative frame trap setups that just work regardless of the opponent's positioning, the stage's platform layout, or the percent window that he has to work with. And by the way, the timing for some of these frame trap setups is super strict, so mad props to Venia for being able to pull them off so consistently. Okay, so Venia's advantage state is already insane. What's his edgeguard game like? As you can imagine, also insane. Even when he's not in a position to edgeguard with back air, he'll still find ways to pester his opponent while they're off stage. There are two things that I noticed about Venia's edgeguarding that I haven't seen from any other Greninja players: the Hydro Push and the F-Tilt Tap. Let me talk about the tap first, since it sets up into the Hydro Push. Sometimes whenever you hit an opponent towards the side blast zone, they don't quite end up off stage, or they do and they're close enough to ledge where you can't edgeguard them effectively. The solution that Venia has to this is literally running up to his opponent and tapping them with F-Tilt. This sends them further off stage, giving him the space needed to get an edge guard going. Since F-Tilt is a pretty low commitment option, he's really not losing much by doing this, and he puts himself in a much better position for taking a stock. So the Hydro Push. As we know, Hydro Pump can really mess with certain recoveries by throwing off their trajectory, but the end lag of the move can make it a bit of a commitment and hard to follow up after. As Dr. Copter has shown on his Twitter, if we were able to cancel the end lag of the move, this would actually be ridiculous when it comes to edge guarding. Venia found a temporary solution to this, and what he likes to do is to shoot out pump towards his opponent while aiming to grab the ledge. This makes it so that he doesn't have to suffer the end lag of landing on the stage with the move while keeping his positioning for edge guarding. Again, this is a super creative option, and it just goes to show how crafty Venia can be as a player. And by the way, if you haven't seen this clip before, you're really missing out. I'm not going to break it down here because I already did so on Twitter, but geez, this is actually a perfect edge guard. If you want to check out the super in-depth analysis I did of this 7-second interaction, it's linked in the description. Alright, time to roast Venia. First and foremost, these fucking platforms, dude. Like, no Greninja player is properly using them in advantage, and it's not just Venia. I talked about this already in the MK Leo video, but Greninja can get so much momentum off of platform tech chases by just jumping up to them and using Nair. But for some reason, a lot of players like Venia just aren't applying this to their gameplay yet. Venia seems to try to do this sometimes, but even then he struggles to get those simple punishes. It's really sad to see a scenario that should have been completely in Venia's favor and after the one dash attack that started it. Whether you like it or not, FD isn't the only stage in the game, so getting these tech chases down is essential for pushing Greninja's advantage state. So yeah, going for dash attack or down tilt up smash really isn't the play here. On the topic of tech chases, Venia isn't always going for the most optimal options. Something that I noticed he likes doing is tossing out jab 1 after a fast fall up air. This isn't actually a bad idea because it can frame trap a ton of characters. If you toss out the jab and the opponent techs, you have enough time to react to their position and punish them with a dash attack to reset the cycle. The thing about Venia is that he kind of doesn't know how to do this yet. A lot of the time, he'll go for jab 1, and when the opponent does tech, he won't react in time to hit them with dash attack afterwards. If he just worked on this a tiny bit, I'm sure that he'd be able to get this every time. But the thing about this is that it isn't necessarily the best option to go for. Yes, I know, the clip that I'm showing you right now contradicts that statement, but this could have been easily avoided. So let's break this down. The tech roll animation actually takes longer than the tech in place animation, giving Greninja enough time to catch up to the opponent and connect dash attack after jab 1. If the opponent techs in place, however, Greninja can only commit to the jab before the opponent has a chance to do something like shield. Not the biggest punish, right? Okay, that's fine though. We can still get fast fall loops going if they tech roll, right? 2 letters for you. DI. DI out absolutely kills dash attack fast fall up air. If the opponent DIs out of your dash attack, say goodbye to your loops. The only thing that you can get guaranteed is a raw back air. Okay, but we can still get the jab lock, right? Right? Not always? Remember the pop-up animation from part 3 of the guide? If your opponent is playing a character that enters pop-up and misses the tech, jab can literally whiff, giving you next to no reward for the drag down tech chase. This actually happens quite often, so I wouldn't recommend this loop in certain matchups. What I would recommend doing is a dash forward down tilt. This can cover multiple options like no tech, tech in place, and tech roll away, and even works against characters that enter pop-up. From here, you get a ton of momentum off of down tilt combos such as down tilt up smash or down tilt back air. Now let me give you another recommendation. F smash. Literally just F smash. If you put your opponent into the corner after a fast fall up air, you can charge an F smash to cover no tech, tech in place, and tech roll away for an insanely early kill. The only option that this doesn't cover is tech roll in, but seeing that you can get a kill at 50, I'd say it's a fair trade-off. And if you don't believe me for some reason, I think this clip of me killing Venia at 30 will convince you otherwise. I know Venia already loves calling out specific options, so this seems right up his alley. Something that a lot of players will do at low to mid-level play is run off the stage and try to stage spike their opponent with a back air. This still has its uses at high-level play, but people are generally ready to tech. And given that even Puff can still tech our back air at 200%, I don't think that stage spikes are going to come very often. Venia really likes to run off stage and go for these, but the most that he's doing is getting 10% and putting himself in a position to get ledge trapped. Up until fairly recently, I've been neglecting ledge traps myself, but they're super useful for taking stocks. A lot of high-level players know how important mixing up their ledge get-up timings can be to get back to center stage. That being said, ledge traps only don't work when a ledge get-up option is buffered, which is a super rare occurrence at high-level play. Because of Greninja's burst speed, ledge traps can be unreactable at times and set up really well to take stocks from opponents. Also, Greninja can ledge jump from really far away through their use of Hydro Pump. I say that Hydro Jumping is probably one of Greninja's Greninja's most slept on techniques, and it can catch a lot of players off guard extremely often. Venia using ledge trumps instead of running off and trading his ledge trap positioning with his opponents can really open up opportunities for him to kill. Alright, the final thing that I'm gonna roast Venia for. It's definitely a minute thing compared to tech chases and such, but he almost always chooses to jump off of ledge, and it can really screw him over at times. On its own, ledge jump really isn't a bad option. It's the only ledge get up option that isn't reactable, and it lets Greninja get around certain ledge coverage options since his jump height is already insane. The problem is that this can get pretty predictable and often gives the opponent a free punish. Instead, being patient and waiting for the opponent's coverage option really isn't a bad idea. Greninja's ledge hang is actually incredibly low, making it so that you're not at nearly as much of a risk by waiting at ledge compared to other characters. By just being patient and working around the opponent's option after they commit to it, you're able to make it back to ledge much more safely without throwing yourself into something like Wolf Dash Attack. I know that Venia is super eager to push buttons, but there are times where you just want to wait out the situation. And by the way, let me drop some cool tech that can help you get off ledge. Get up attack. Wait, that doesn't sound like cool tech. What's so fancy about pressing the A button on ledge? So on its own, Greninja's get up attack really doesn't stand out at all compared to other characters. It lacks range, isn't safe on shield, and people generally tend to neglect it as an option altogether. What's great about get up attack is what it can set up into. Regardless of your opponent's percent, this will always set up into tumble, and even then, it doesn't have much knockback growth. Okay, so why is this good? Against fast Lars, this can set up for tech chases, which we know Greninja loves. From here, you can cover the opponent's options with dash attack for tons of momentum. So yeah, I really recommend getting out of the habit of pressing with the Y button on your controller when you're at ledge and just waiting out the opponent's ledge trapping option. But anyways, that's gonna wrap it up for his weaknesses. So what do I think about Venia as a player? Venia has some of the cleanest gameplay to offer out of any other Greninja, and it's honestly a joy to watch him play. The way that he understands interactions to the smallest of details and uses every aspect of Greninja's kit to his advantage is just insane. Alright, time for the heated question. Is Venia the best Greninja player, or is that just a bullshit Twitter bio? In my opinion, yes. It's just a bullshit bio. No, I'm just kidding. He's absolutely the best Greninja player. Not only does he have the wins and results to support this, but the guy's actually defining the meta for a character. From only pressing the show button once a game to abusing every bit of Greninja's movement, Venia's been putting insane amounts of work into Gren, and there's always something to be learned by watching him play. And while I have the chance to say this, oh man, this guy's been an absolute inspiration to me for years now. I remember first finding his VODs in Smash 4 when he would absolutely run over Ganon players and staying up all night just to take notes about his Greninja on my iPhone. Even when I would send him DMs out of the blue asking for help with simple things like dash attack back air or auto canceling aerials, he was super patient and was willing to answer my questions. On top of that, Venia is generally one of the most wholesome people that you'll ever meet. He really does value the community more than himself, and he'll constantly be putting out matchup guides, doing VOD analysis, and giving tons of insight on how he plays Greninja. The guy's an actual champ, and we should consider ourselves incredibly lucky to have someone so charismatic, passionate, and dedicated to help us with learning our character. If for some reason you haven't already checked out Venia, all of his socials are linked below, including his new YouTube channel. He's been putting a ton of work into his content, so make sure to give him a subscription and show him some love. Alright, let me stop gushing over Venia before I get any strange looks. I really do hope that you guys enjoy this video because, as you might be able to tell, it's been in the works for such a long time. As you all know, I value the absolute crap out of the quality of my videos, and sometimes it can take a while to finish just one project. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up here and actually get started on another one. Thank you all so much for almost 5,000 subscribers, by the way. Hopefully I'll catch you all soon with another video. Alright, take care everyone. And as always, hold in.